Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. The live stream said that it was going to be done on mobile. I had planned on setting it up on my MacBook Pro here. So that's the reason why it's behind. So I apologize for that. But hopefully everything's good. I'm watching the chat, make sure everybody can hear me okay and see everything okay. I've got the screen a little bit elevated because last night it looked like it was a little low. So just hit me up in the chat if you have any issue seeing anything. So, welcome to my 2025 goal setting workshop. I'm looking forward to this. I do this every year. The last week of Christmas, or right the last week after Christmas, before starting the new year, I'll get into a room by myself, kind of like this, and I'll just sit there and plan out my goals for the following or for the next year, which in this case would be 2025. So, um, like I said last night, since I haven't done a video for you guys in quite some time, I thought it would be a benefit to show you guys how I do things. Obviously, you don't have to do it exactly like I do, but I'm doing it anyway. So I figured I might as well share it with you. And then if you find some benefit of it, that would be great. So, couple things. When you are setting goals, you want to bring a good, positive attitude. If you're negative, you've had a tough thing. I'm talking a lot and rambling because, to be honest with you, I'm a little frustrated with how the streaming started today. So I'm trying to talk myself down a little bit from being, really upset and angry about how the stream went because I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. And then, of course, that's when the hiccups come. So anyway, it's best for you to bring your best attitude, your positive attitude when it comes to setting goals, because you don't want to bring doubt, fear, anger, worry, and things like that. So bring a positive attitude. You want to have something to write with. Now I want to show you this before we start. This is my journal for 2025. It's a Pentalic sketchbook. It's got my name and stuff in here, and got my themes and how many days I have until I turn 90, just to kind of help me, um, you know, keep a watch on how I treat every day, because it's not as many as you think. And then on the back cover, you'll see here that this is where I put my goals for 2025. So this is kind of the framework of how we're going to be going through, and we'll go into more details about that in just a minute. But this is a journal that I write in for my goals, and then I have different sections. Like I got my spiritual section, I've got my law section, I've got some other sections. We'll talk about that. But you want something to write with, even if it's just a piece of paper. Goals that aren't written are just dreams and ideas, kind of like what Dave Ramsey says. If it's not written down, it's not real. So find something to write down, and then you'll want to have some pens for you guys. Of course, I've got markers. I've got my whiteboard and my markers, and let me know if you have any trouble seeing anything. But you want to have some pens, something to write with. Also got my necessary coffee, my bottle of water, and my my protein drink. So I've got something to hold me over for a little bit while we go through this process, because this isn't going to be like a 15-minute, rah rah video. This is going to be actually how I set goals. So another thing you may need is some music or something in the background, because there's going to be some dead time. There's going to be some time where I'm going to be sitting down thinking, and I'm going to be asking you to do the same thing. There's going to be times when I'm just writing on the board, reflecting. I don't do music all the time. Sometimes I do music, sometimes I don't. So, there will be some dead time in this video to give all of us time to be able to work through our goals. So if you get bored and you don't want to sit in silence, um, you know, have your phone or whatever it is that you use to play music with, and you can keep that on in the background while we're going through the goal setting workshop. So let's see, what else do you need? You got the journal, the pens, positive attitude. You want to get a list of all the things that you're involved with. So all your jobs, like I have several jobs that I'll be going through. I've got other things I'm involved with. You want a list of all your responsibilities. If you can get a list of your debts and your investments, bank accounts, things like that, so that way you have those handy because if you're going to make financial investment goals, how can you make goals if you don't know what you have? So, know where you've been so that you can know where to go. So get those lists of things. And then finally, just focus. Um, you know, I'm in my house. You can, like I said last night, you can see my kids' homeschool numberings on the wall. You can see that this isn't a professional studio. This is my home, and just inviting you into my home. This isn't a professional production. This is just me doing what I do each and every year and sharing with you guys. And I need to be alone. I need to be able to think. There may be children in the next room that you might hear. There may be some dogs barking on occasion because they're crazy, but they're good dogs. But anyway, for the most part, I try to get away where it's quiet, where I can think, and where I can focus on what I want to accomplish for the next year. So, um, first things first, when setting goals, is kind of looking back. And I've already done this to save you the time of doing this, but I don't just have the 2025 journal. I actually have all the journals that I have done since 2015. Now, the 2015 one is actually a little baby journal. Let me see if I can get my hands on it. Here we go. The first time I ever started this process, I actually used it with this little 99-cent composition book. And this took me, oddly enough, from November of 2015 to December of 2017. And I really didn't start my real journaling like I do today until 2016. And that's when I met a guy named Clark Kegley. He had a channel called Clark Danger. Then he changed it to Refusing to Settle. Now he's changed it back to Clark Kegley. But at any rate, he's a YouTuber who did a very popular video on journaling, and he still does that. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Creating a Journal, or The Ultimate Guide to Doing a Journal, or something like that. And I learned the 6-in-1 journal method, and then using the front cover for your big ideas and then the back cover for your goals. He actually had done a goal setting workshop himself a few years ago, but I can't find it. I think he's taken it down because in his last Ultimate Guide to Creating a Journal video, he didn't share the back of his journal because he's using that as part of his metamorphic course. So basically, you now have to pay to be able to do what I'm going to show you how to do for free, because now I've taken it and kind of adapted it to my own. But if you're interested in going deeper in journaling and going deeper into that type of thing, you can certainly go to Clark Kegley and sign up for that course. But anyway, so going through these journals, you can see in the back. Let me get the back cover here. That might help. Um, Big goals for the previous year. Some of them are X'd out, some of them aren't. And to be honest, last year, or 2024, I didn't really do very well. I started in a new job. I was transitioning, and some of the things that I thought would be good goals turned out not to be great. And this because I was new at what I was doing in my career. This year, I think I've got a better handle on what I need to be doing. So that's going to be hopefully a better way to focus on the goals and get things going. Um, uh, so that's kind of where we're at and what I'm trying to do. So if you have a previous journal, take some time as we're going through everything today to look back at some of your past goals. Were you successful? Did you not accomplish them? And kind of use them as a guidepost for what you want to do. All right. So you got all the background out of the way. Let's talk about the actual goal setting. Okay. So when we talk about setting goals, there are three areas where we set these goals, and you see those here in the back of my journal here. We do them across. Well, if I can get it open, we do them across three areas: work, rest, and play. So work goals are obviously what kind of jobs you do, or what type of significant responsibilities that you have. So whether you're like me and a lawyer, I'm also a law professor. I'm a PhD student. Um, I consider PhD student a job, to be honest. So we have all of these different ideas, and so those are the work goals. Then you have your rest goals. Now, rest goals don't necessarily mean that you're going to be falling asleep, that you need to improve your rest. Rest is really when you have wholeness, when you have your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health. Things around that is more of the rest goals. And then you have play goals, and the play goals are like your fun, adventurous things. So time that you want to spend with your family. Time that you have a hobby or activity, like we do karate. That's a big thing for our family. And then if you want places to go and things to do. So that's kind of the breakdown of how the goals work. And so you want to have goals in all those areas. If the only goals you have are work goals, you're going to tire out and you're going to be bored. So think of it like an equal triangle, right? You've got your work responsibilities. So we put those in red because those are obviously the. Let me see if I can get this a little closer, because it looks to me like the screen's not picking that up very well. Like I said, if you're looking for professional production, this isn't it. This is just going to be real. All right. So you've got your work goals, you've got your rest goals, which is where you're working for yourself, you're getting yourself where you need to be, and then you've got your play goals. And if you don't have something set in each of these areas, your life is going to be out of balance. You can't just focus on work. If you only focus on work and you don't have a financial interest in yourself, you don't have your spiritual self taken care of, if you don't have your family time, you're going to be out of balance. Now, there are some things that you can focus on more at one particular time than others, but you can't neglect these. I mean, there are all kinds of stories about lawyers who focus on their work all the time, and all they do is work, but they don't spend any time with their family. So they've been divorced 3 times, and they get to see their kids every other weekend. You can't, if you focus on your work to the exclusion of your family, then you're losing. So make sure that you're setting goals in all of these areas. Don't just try to get hyped up on your work and on your job. So, uh, with that said, let's get going on what we're going to do today. So, the first area of goals that we are going to work on are work goals. Work. Now, I try to come up with one theme for what I want to accomplish. Man, my handwriting looks terrible. Sorry about that, but it is what it is. Uh, with work goals, I try to think of one theme, one goal that I want to make everything else kind of center around. The last year, my goal was to get a certain promotion, and what I found was is, and I didn't get it. I felt like I worked hard enough to get it, but I didn't get it, and that's okay. I'm going to keep trying. But the problem is in the actual goal itself. I set a goal on something that I don't have any control of. So instead, this year, I'm focusing on the things I can control. And hopefully, if I focus on the things that I can control, then those goals will be met and ultimately will lead to where I want to go in areas that I don't necessarily have exclusive control. So this year, my work goal is to become an expert, is to become an expert in my fields. Um, like I said, I started a new position last year, and I feel like I did pretty well considering that I'd never done this area of law before. I won 5 jury trials, I lost one, um, but and had several other very significant wins. The one jury trial loss was the only loss I've had since I've started there. Um, so, but at the same time, there are things that I think that I need to know that I don't know. I knew family law, I knew personal injury, I knew criminal law and those areas from my private practice days, but in this particular field, I didn't feel like I knew everything that I needed to know. So this year, my goal is to become an expert in my field. And that doesn't just include in my lawyer field, that also will include my law professor job as well as my PhD work. So when you saw the back of my journal, you'll see that I've got three positions. I've got my lawyer, my professor, and my PhD. So I'm going to put lawyer, professor, PhD. All right. Now, since those are all important jobs that I'm involved with, I'm going to make goals in each of those areas that I think will help make me an expert in each of these areas. All right. So you'll see I use little square bullets because that's what Clark did. Um, you can use circles, you can use numbers, whatever you want to do. But basically, no less than two, no more than five. And I think of that from John Maxwell's Rule of Five. If you've never heard of his Rule of Five for chopping down a tree, if you're wanting to accomplish a goal, he says if you go out every day and you take an axe and you swing it at a tree 5 times every day, eventually the tree will fall. You don't have to go out there and chop it, 1,000 times in one day. You can just pick 5 things. And so his 5 things that he does to become a great writer is every day he reads, every day he thinks, every day he files, every day he asks questions, and every day he writes. So, what are the 5 things that can help me be a lawyer that's an expert in the field that I'm in? What are the 5 things that will help me be an expert in the legal professor field? What are the 5 things that are going to make me be an expert in my PhD field? So that's where I'm going to take some time and just think through. So if you want to, set up your journal and set things up, whatever your responsibilities are, whatever your work responsibilities are, write those down, and then come up with 2 to 5 in each of those areas of things that you want to accomplish for this year. So this is where I'm going to have some quiet, and there's going to be dead time here. So if you need to turn on music so you don't get bored, do that. That's perfectly fine. But I'm going to need some time to think. So I'm going to start working on my stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Should be a little better. How we doing out there? Everybody doing okay? Still working hard? Hopefully the chat's working. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. All right. I took a picture of mine because, um, despite me telling you guys to bring pens in here, I didn't actually bring pens. I tried to call my wife a minute ago, um, and ask her to bring those in, but she didn't answer. So I'll took a picture of this and I'll transfer it over. But just kind of give you an idea. So here's what I came up with on how to become an expert as a lawyer in my field in 2025. So the first thing is to read cases. And you say, well, don't lawyers read cases all the time? And sadly, the answer is no. A lot of times, the lawyers rely on the same cases, and unless or until they're told that those cases no longer apply, they just keep using those same cases. And, that's certainly a way to go about it. But if you truly want to become an expert in your field, the more cases you can read in that area, the better off you'll be. So that I could say I'm going to read cases every single day, but that's just not realistic. I have jury trials, I have bench trials, I have client meetings, I have meetings with the team. And so to say that I'm going to read a case every day is just unrealistic. So here's how I do things. So where under read cases, you'll see I have a box for 50, a box for 100, and a box for 150 cases. Now, do you think that a lawyer who reads 150 cases in a year is going to be an expert in their field? I would say most likely yes. What about 100 cases? They're probably still going to be pretty strong. 50, maybe. They're probably reading, at least 40 more than most lawyers read in a year. But this is my bare minimum goal. So I'm my absolute minimum is to read 50. That's basically one case a week, and then giving myself 2 weeks of vacation to not have to read a case. The next one, of course, is 100, which would be two in a week, and then the 150 would be three in a week. When you break it down like that, it's really not that daunting of a task. Now, if you're talking about only reading Supreme Court cases that are 60, 70 pages long, well, now you're probably looking at doing more like the 50. But if you're doing a circuit court of appeals case or a federal district court case, um, or a state case, that's depending on if you're doing state Supreme Court again, you're probably going to do less of those. But this is totally doable. You say, well, okay, if I commit to this, what do I need to do to make sure that I complete it? And that's where the rest of the journal comes in. So you'll see in the section I showed you earlier, the law section here, what I will do once I get off the stream is I'm going to go find cases, and I'm going to write a list of cases right here in the journal. And then as I read them, I will put the date that I read them. And then the rest of it will be kind of briefly summarizing what the case is so I can track it. And that's the other important thing about setting goals is that they're trackable. It's not just, I'm going to read cases. Okay, well, how many? I don't know. How do you keep up with what you read? I don't know. You need to track it and you need to actually use it. Otherwise, you're not becoming an expert. You're just patting yourself on the back for accomplishing something. So, reading cases, network lunches, meeting with lawyers, meeting with maybe officials in the area that I'm practicing in, uh, talking with them, asking them questions, buying them lunch, and saying, "Hey, here's some questions I have. Can you help me with this? Or what do you think about this? What do I need to do to go to the next level? Things like that." So six would be one lunch every 2 months. Now, when I set this, I'm going to go to my journal. I'm going to get my calendar, and then I'm going to email and go ahead and get these set and put on the calendar. Because if you don't put it on the calendar, it won't happen. So six would be once every 2 months, 12 would be once a month, and then 18 would be obviously the maximum amount that would really be necessary. I mean, you're talking about a year and a half's worth of monthly lunches in 1 year, but that's a stretch goal. And besides, if you aim for this one and you only get this one, you're still winning. Um, so I'm going to try to reach out to 18 people and see if they'll, have lunch and let me ask them some questions. But hey, if I only get 12, cool. If I only get six, cool. I'm still better off than what I was this year, where frankly I didn't do anywhere near the network lunches that I normally do. Now I've got watch CLEs, and you say, well, lawyers are supposed to do CLEs anyway, and that's true. But a lot of times we watch CLEs that help us be able to get the job done. Uh, what I'm talking about is watching CLEs specific to my field, searching them out and finding them and watching them. So I've got 3, which would be one a quarter, 6, which would be one every 2 months, and 9. And I don't want to overdo it on watching the CLEs, because what's going to happen is those CLEs are going to lead me to cases that then I can read and study and put in the journal as well. But I'm going to go to my calendar. I'm going to put it on the calendar. Go watch these CLEs, and then they we'll put that information in the journal, and I'll learn about these particular areas of my field. The next thing is site visits. Now, this is just specific to me with the field that I'm in. I think it would be beneficial for me to go to the sites that I'm representing and actually get a tour. So I've got, one visit for the whole year. I mean, that should be completely doable. If I can see 2, that's great. And if I can see 3, that's even better. But getting it on the schedule and on the calendar and say, hey, I would like a tour. Can we figure this out? And I mean, I'm sure I'll be able to at least get one, and that will make me better understand how to represent in my cases. And then the last thing is collecting quotes or stories. Now, this is not necessarily something specific to lawyers, because this will apply even in my professor stuff and in my PhD stuff. But I want to really focus it on my lawyer job, because this is where the jury trial stuff happens. So collecting quotes, collecting stories, so that I can come up with themes and connections with a jury, I think will help me better be able to relate to jury people as well. So 50, that's one a week. Being able to collect them and storing them away somewhere on my computer, my iPhone, or in my journal. 100 would be 2 a week, and then 200 would be huge, right? So imagine, and not just collecting them in the sense of I have them there, but really getting them into my mind, really learning them and studying them and spending time with them. So those are the goals for my lawyer stuff. Professor stuff, student contacts. Now, I don't mean like email. I mean like actually communicating with students. One of the main complaints among students in general that are in college and master's degree and law schools is lack of contact. And so I want to make it a goal this year to really be proactive and schedule meetings with students to talk about the class, to talk about what they hope to get out of it, and how they can do well and how they can improve in their career. So, I mean, again, I'm going to do regular email contacts anyway, but real like heart to heart mentoring. I've got 2, 4, and 8, all very easily doable. If I can do more, that would be fantastic. But being very intentional and specific to increase student contact. And then I've got this one that's going to be specific to me as far as where I'm teaching. They use Canvas, and to be honest with you, I'm still kind of learning the system. So I've got on here a goal of watching tutorials on the Canvas. So I've got 4 videos, 8 videos, and 12 videos. I mean, even with everything I have going on, I should be able to watch a 15-minute video, 4 times during a year, and all the way up to 12. So I can become an expert in how to use our platform so that I can make the experience for the students better. Then another one I have is to apply for classes. Um, I do this every year anyway, but I've increased the numbers a little bit, applying to be able to teach more. You know, and again, even if I don't get it, that's okay. They're seeing my name go across the desk, and I've applied to some schools like several years and haven't gotten the position, but I'm still going to apply. And eventually they'll look at my name and be like, this guy's not going to go away. Let's give him a chance. Or maybe they won't, but I'm no worse off anyway. But applying for 2 classes, 4 classes, or 6 classes. This one I put on my list last year, but I didn't do it. Um, but I'm gonna commit to putting it on the calendar. I'm gonna find a law professor conference. It can be virtual, it can be in person. I don't care, but I want to attend a law professor conference. I would prefer it be in person, but if it's cost of travel and all that, you're going to see that there's going to be other things that I'm more interested in spending money on travel for. So virtual would be just fine. But seeing what it is that law professors are talking about. And then the last one, and I do this one every year too, and just haven't been committed, but I think reading the cases, watching CLEs will help me um, finally pump out a law review article. I had my student note published in the Regent Law Review back in law school, and I haven't written another one since. And that's probably one of the things that's held me back from being able to get some of the other teaching jobs that I've applied for. So I need to knock this out, and I'm going to knock this out in 2025. So what I'm going to have to do is get on the calendar and on the schedule and on my journal, breaking down. All right, I need this many words by this date. I need this many words by that date. I need this research done by here. Where I'm going to go, how I'm going to build it. So the journal is what helps build all of this out. And then lastly, the PhD stuff. My PhD dissertation is going to be on the history of the Yale lectures on preaching. So trying to read a whole Yale lectures book, four of them, eight of them, or 12. I got eight of them last year, so I think I could probably get to 12 this year. Read journal articles. And this is, of course, going to also help me with my dissertation. I've got 50 articles, which would be once a week, 100, which would be twice a week. And I've got these in order of priority. My job comes first. So these are going to be my priority. And then the law professor job is my next job. That's next in priority. And then the PhD, while I am, working on it and get it done, that's last on the list. And that's something that I've had to, refocus on. I've been trying to do everything somewhat equally, but this year I'm focused on lawyer first, professor second, PhD third. So if I don't get to 100 articles, that's okay. If I get to 50, that's great. I should be able to do that even while doing all these other things. Attend a homiletics conference. That's what my PhD is, preaching homiletics. So I'm going to attend a conference again. It can be virtual, it can be in person, but I'm going to find one, put it on the calendar, and attend. And then this is outlining my seminars. So in the US PhD programs, you have to do seminars, which is basically like a class. We have week-long modules, but then before we go there, we have to read like 3,000 to 4,000 pages. We have to write seminar papers and other book reviews and papers and things like that. And so we have all of these different seminars. And then after the seminars are concluded, we do comprehensive exams. One of the ways to prepare for comprehensive exams is outlining each of your seminars. So rather than waiting until 2026 to get started on that, I want to go ahead and start outlining my seminars now, so I can focus on that. Now, I'm giving myself some grace because, again, I'm focusing on lawyer first, professor second, and PhD third. I've got a baseline of only two classes. So I may pick out two of my seminars and outline those. If I can get to four, great. If I can get to eight, even better. But again, it's the priority is just getting something done. So getting two there would be great. And then lastly, submit journal articles. Last year, I published two journal articles, and then one of my book reviews has been accepted for publication. It'll be out in January. I'm not going to count that one. That counts toward 2024 because that was done. But generally, what I do is I'll take my seminar papers and I will tweak them and submit those to journals for acceptance. Then they usually come back to me saying you need to change this, that, or the other, and you can resubmit. And I usually just change whatever it is they tell me to change, unless it's something, that it goes against my values, which has only happened one time. And I did not change that, but we compromised on something else. But anyway, the goal will be to submit, at minimum one journal article. I mean, again, I'm already writing seminar papers anyway, so to retool it and submit it, just one shouldn't be a problem. maybe even two. And three, of course, I would probably have to write another one. So I probably won't get to three in 2025, but that's okay. I'm making some progress. So, what did you get for your work goals? If you want to share it in the chat or if you want to share it in the comments, I'd love to see what you guys have come up with. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go get my pens, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to jump into the rest goals. So hang tight. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Everybody's still doing good. We're at the 52 minutes. We're working hard. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just transfer these to my journal so I don't forget. I don't want to rely on my photos. Things can happen with those. So I'm going to get these done. So read cases. Actually, I'm going to sit down for a minute. There we go. Okay. All right. So we're good with work, hopefully. I'm going to erase that and we're going to go on to the next thing. All right. This is a little bit tougher for me anyway. So we have the rest goals. Now, again, these don't necessarily have to do with sleeping, but think of it more like wholeness, mindfulness, stress release, um, financial, pressure, abundance. Um, so the one thing, come up with one theme for your personal development, your personal growth, your personal wholeness, things like that. I'm going to take a minute because I need to think about this one. The law one was a lot easier, as most uh, self development people know. It's a lot easier to come with those kind of things, which is why self often gets put on the back burner. People's health goes awry. People's they have mental anxiety and stress and things like that because they focus so much on work, they don't focus on themselves. So let's take a minute to kind of think about what your one thing is going to be for rest goals. All right. So I've got physical, mental, spiritual, and financial. So those are the four kind of self improvement, self development um, aspects of an individual. So, um, what is your one thing? Let me know in the chat or let me know in the comments. What is your one theme for 2025 in regard to your rest goals? Let's see. All right. So, my one thing for 2025 is going to be flexibility. I'll write that in the journal and then I'll explain. So, I have gotten into karate and jujitsu, and one of the things that has come of that is um, a determination that I am extraordinarily stiff. I have high stress. I have high tension in my back, in my neck, in my hips, and I really need to focus this year on becoming more flexible, spending more time stretching, spending less time, doing things that are going to cause me to have inflammation, things that um, cause me mental anxiety and stress. So I think flexibility, and even in the financial aspect, some of the stress of the finances of going from private practice to the government sector and losing all the money that comes with that, can cause stress and anxiety. So, being able to be more flexible with finances and with, investing and things like that. So I think flexibility is a good one for me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you hear the dogs barking. Let me know in the chat or in the comments what your one thing is for your rest goals, and now we'll spend some time actually writing those out, and you can enjoy the dogs barking in the background. turn that off because that's going to be a distraction. Oh, you want to get out, Cat? Go ahead. All right. I just don't know that I'm going to do that every day. We'll do breathing exercises. Everybody still doing good out there? All right, keep working. We're getting close. See how much harder it is to do the rest goals than it is to do the. I just noticed it's all slanted down. That's kind of funny. So much harder to do rest goals than it is work goals. All right, 8 ounces a day. Let's cut it in half just to be reasonable. So 32 ounces a day. Let's get the calculator. 8 ounces. So I just did the math on the glasses of water. So if you only did 4 8 ounces of water a day every for 360 days, so not even for the full year, that's 11,520 glasses of water, of 8 ounce water. That's a lot of water. um, okay, so that's 11,520 ounces total. That's crazy. So if you did 8 glasses like you're supposed to, times 360, that's 23,040 ounces of water a year. I mean, hey, that's something to track. So let's do this. We'll do in ounces because that'll be fun. We'll say 11,000 is the baseline. We'll say 15,000 is mid, and 20,000 is the big goal. So at least we're getting minimum if we drink 4 glasses of water a day for only 360 days. And so we should be able to track that pretty easily. Um, I'll think of something fun to do probably with my journal to track that. But anyway, so there's that. All right. Reading, sharing, writing. Um, all right, let's read on inflammation. So let's do 12, which would be once a month, 24, which is twice a month, and 36, 3 times a month. It can be blogs, it can be articles. Um, you should be fine. All right, good. We got the physical done. All right. Did you hear that? That's why I need to be flexible. Any ideas out there for mental growth, protecting your mental health? Let's find a group. It's probably a good place to get ideas. Hey. Okay, cool. Everybody says hi. Do enough of that. Didn't really do that anyway. No, won't do that either. All right. Got the rest goals done. Oh, that took a minute. Let's see. So we're 11:30. Well, we're making pretty good time. So since my goal was flexibility, I've got days that I want to stretch. So it's 100 days or 100 times in the year. So that would be about 2 times a week. 200 would be the mid goal, and then 300, which would be about 3 times a week, roughly. I mean, obviously, it would be more than that if you did 3 times a week. But again, just starting somewhere, 2 times a week would be a good start, and that's easy to track. Watch flexibility videos. So, on Instagram, YouTube, um, you know, finding flexibility videos and getting some ideas about how I can get more flexible. So, one video a week, very doable, up to 200 for the year. This one's important, and most people avoid this. I've gotten better about it, but there are some areas where I can definitely improve of scheduling doctor visits. So you see, it's got 3, 6, and 9. Now, that's not to see the same doctor, right? So that's for your physician, that's for your vision, and your dentist. So scheduling those, putting them on the calendar at least one time this year. And I've actually got that as my baseline goal, which I've done I did that last year, but scheduling it twice, and maybe even 3 times during the year, depending on, how I feel. Now that I'm 45, getting up there, still feel good, but ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So scheduling the doctor visits is important. Water. Okay, I did some calculations on increasing my water intake because I just like my coffee and my sweet tea, but definitely need to increase the water intake. So the way to track it is I took the number of ounces you're supposed to have in a glass, and how many ounces you have per day, and then did it over the year. So, as I indicated, if you only did 4 glasses, 4 8-ounce glasses of water, that would be over 11,000 ounces for the year if you do it for just 300 days or 360 days. So, not even 365, just 360 will get you 11,000 ounces of water in the year. My mid goal would be 15,000, and then the high goal would be the full 8-ounce glasses. And I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna be a challenge for me to get to that point. I'll probably end up finishing somewhere here. You know, there's water in tea, right? There's water in coffee, so that should count. But I'm not gonna count that. I'm talking about just water. And then I've got a read on inflammation, so it can be an article, a blog, um, 1 time a month, 2 times a month, 3 times a month, just so I can learn more about inflammation and the impact that it has on the body. So that's my physical goals. My mental goals, as far as helping with mental stress relief. 4 massages, so that's one every quarter. 6 would be one every or man, every one every 2 months, and then 12 would be one a month. So getting it on the calendar, in the schedule, and tracking it on the journal. Next thing I want to do is try to find a way to reduce my anxiety medication by half. The doctor says I'm on baby doses anyway, but I just don't like being on medication. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect me, and frankly, it's been working pretty well. But if I can reduce it by half and things are still going well, then maybe eventually I can get off of it completely. And I'll share in another video why I'm on it in the first place. But had a pretty crazy panic attack back in 2020. Um, I'll fill you in on all that. But anyway, like to reduce that by half. I got breathing exercises. Whether it's for a minute, a couple minutes, at least once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, something like that. Now this is find a group. So this is talking about me finding a group relating to mental health or anxiety in particular, or maybe stress relief. So I'm going to go look for a group to join, and that's going to be one of my mental health one of my mental health goals. And then buy a stress relief ball or tool or something to help stressful times, being able to take the tension out um, on something like that instead of keeping it in my shoulders and in my back, which is where most of it is. All right, my spiritual goals: read through the King James Bible in a year. I've read through the Bible every year since I think 2008, something like that. But it's been a while since I've read the authorized version, so I'm going to go back and read the old school version with the these and thous. See how that is. I'm going to try to write out some prayers. So it's one a month, two a month, and so forth. The max goal of 50. Hopefully, I can do more than that, but we'll see how it goes. Sharing my about Jesus with people, 6 times, 12 times, or 24 times during the year. Another goal is to memorize the Nicene Creed, which is kind of like one of the basic Christian creeds. I memorized the Apostles' Creed, but I haven't memorized the Nicene Creed, so I'm going to try to memorize that this year. And then trying to start a small group at our church. I started one last year, and I wanted to start more, but wasn't able to. So I'm going to try to start one more. If I get 2, fantastic. If I get 3, wonderful. But try to start another small group. Now the investing goals. I do this one. I do every year, but I still write it down just because I like to track it. So the minimum would be fully funded one Roth IRA, which would be either mine or my wife's. And then the next goal would be to fully fund both of them. And usually I'm able to fund both of them. But this past year I wasn't, because we had some other things come up, but I was only short by like a couple thousand. So we did pretty well. But those are the goals for Roths. This RRE is rental real estate doors. How many doors I want to buy of rental real estate. And by the way, these could all just be in one building. So it could be a duplex or it could be a quad. And then I'm able to get those doors. I'm actually talking with a realtor about a duplex in one place and a quadplex in another place currently. So the minimum would be 2 more doors this year. I didn't buy any rental real estate last year. I didn't even have it on my journal, and that's why I didn't buy any. I'm pretty sure. So I'm putting it down. It's going to be a focus of mine to get back into buying some more rental real estate. Right now, I have 11 doors, and I'd like to get to 20 as quickly as possible. So I've got 8 as the high end to push for, but we'll see. 529 college accounts for my kids. My baseline is 4,800. Mid is 10,000, and then the maximum you can do is 20,000. 10 per kid. And then the last thing for my rest goals is trying to come up with some side hustle money. Because of the work I'm doing, it doesn't pay as much as when I was in private practice. So I'm going to find a way, legally, of course, to increase some side hustle money per month of 1,000 a month as the minimum, 3,000 a month, or 5,000, and that might be through YouTube. It might be through some sort of subscription newsletter, or it could be coaching, any number of things. But I'm going to find a way to increase my monthly income in 2025. So that's the rest goals. I'm going to write these down in the journal, and then we'll go to the play goals, and then we're going to call it a day. So let me know in the chat what you guys came up with for your rest goals. Okay. That is that. And I've got some spam text message, so that's good. All right. So that's it for rest. So now we'll get set up for the play goals. All right. So last year, my play goal or my play goal theme for the one thing was kids. I wanted to make sure I prioritized my kids, which I think I did a pretty good job considering the new position I got allows for a lot of teleworking. So I was able to work from home, spend a lot of time with them while accomplishing all the things that I needed to do. And then we also did some really cool things for adventures. One of the big things we did last year was the kids got to meet Caitlin Clark. They got her autograph. We got a video of her walking right by them. We had floor seats at one of the games against the Atlanta Dream. We were like 2 rows behind the front row. So we had a really good time with that. And we drove up to Indianapolis as a family. We stopped like I think in West Virginia somewhere, and then we drove up the rest of the way, and then we came back. And it was just a fun family trip. And so I think we had a really good time. All right, so let's reflect on what we want our one big goal, our one big theme for 2025 to be this year. And as you can already see, I've got kind of family is going to be very specific. Karate, because that's something we all do as a family, is also going to be very specific. But adventures and what I'd like us to do as a family is just kind of is more of the open ended. So usually the theme kind of goes along with that. All right. I think I got what want the theme to be? I think I want to focus on increasing confidence. All right, confidence. Again, that's more focused on my kids. People would say I don't have much of a confidence problem, although that's not necessarily true either. And there are some times where that's not the case, but definitely want to do things. I've got my daughter who's a teenager now. I've got my son who's getting ready to be a teenager, and I want them to have confidence in themselves, confidence in the Lord, confidence in their parents. Um, and so, what I want to do is plan around things that will help them build their confidence. So, now that I have that as my one big goal, I want to take some time to think and set family goals, karate goals, and adventure goals. I'm going to take a seat and let me know what your one big theme is for your play goals. What's your big theme and takeaway? If you got any good ideas, please drop them in the chat or in the comments. I think I've got the family stuff figured out. Now I got to do the adventures. All right. Okay, so here's the thing. So with family, I've got dates with my wife because there's no better way to build confidence in your kids than to let them know that you have a strong marriage. So I've got the minimum would be once a quarter, and then 6 in the year and 12 in the year. Time with each individual kid. At least twice a year. I'm sorry, at least half the year, 6 of the months, all the months, and then a bonus of 18 total. Same with Asher. So each kid, I'll keep track of setting specific time with just them. Now, this doesn't have to be like a set date time, as far as like going on a dinner and a movie with your kid. It can be that, but it also includes time like when I'm coaching them for basketball. I'm spending time with them when I'm coaching them. As long as it's each individual kid, and if they're doing something together, then I'm not counting that. Even though I am spending time, but I want them to have individualized attention with me. Then I've got volunteering as a family, going out and helping other people, 4 times out of the year, 6 times, or even once a month if we're able to pull that off. And then attending a leadership conference as a family so they can learn how to be leaders. And then family game night. And trust me, I've seen the confidence in them come out when we play games and they dominate their parents. So, 4 times out of the year, 6 times, and 12 then for karate, attending a kata seminar, kumite seminar. This one's for me, buying a gi with jujitsu patch. I started that, so I need to get a new gi. So I'm gonna put that on the list because they're not cheap. Then for we have the nationals this year in Florida, and so I've got a goal of us winning gold. One would be just me or somebody in my family. Four would be each of us winning one, and then 8 would be each of us winning 2 in kata and kumite. So it gives us something to push for, something to shoot for, keep up with our time of practice, what we've practiced, and leading up to that. So, and then PKV is Page Karate Vlog. That's our other YouTube channel that deals with our karate videos. Posting 50 videos, so that's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. All right, big adventures. Now, in the past, I have made it a goal to meet a billionaire. So I've met Mark Cuban, I've met Grant Cardone. This year, I'm not so worried about the billionaire part. What's funny is I was listening to a video by John Maxwell, and I was talking to my son. I was like, "Man, I really would like to meet him," and he said, "Well, just go meet him." And so here we go. And I'm gonna try to find a way to take him with me since it was his idea. Another adventure would be to do a beach trip. Not while the karate tournament is at the beach. I'm talking about a separate one from that, a separate beach trip, for the weekend or maybe even for the week, where we just hang out at the beach. Visiting a state that we haven't been to, that's an interesting adventure. Just popped into my head, something different. Let the kids see more of the world um, and deal with that. And then kids camps, signing Asher up for a basketball camp, signing Ainsley up for her YMCA leadership camp, and then a physical challenge of some sort that we can do as a family, whether it's ropes course or something like that. Finding something that we can do as a family that would be a physical challenge, I think would help with the confidence. So I'm going to write these things down in the journal, and then we're going to wrap up. Let me know in the comments what your big goals are for play this year. All right. So this was all of the play goals here. So I hope that this has been beneficial for you, just to kind of show you. This is what the back cover of my journal looks like now, with all the big goals. Now you'll see over here, there's also on this page challenges for 2025, and courses to take in 2025, and books to read. So those are more of like your temporary things, kind of like a, temporary challenge, a one-off, not necessarily one of your big goals. Like if you wanted to, post a YouTube video every day for 30 days, that would be more of a challenge than it would be one of your long-term goals. Or if you, wanted to drink a certain amount of water in 30 days, that would be more for your challenges. So I'll have some of those as well. If you want a video on that, let me know. But really just want to make sure you understand what the big goals are, get them down on paper. And now the idea is to go through and get your calendar, get all of your materials on your finances and all that stuff, and go through your journal and start tracking. Make sure that you're tracking what you're doing, put it on the calendar, and keep up with it. Because if you don't, then you won't do it. And that's what happens. It's not a matter of, everybody says, well, New Year's resolutions, they always fail by February, such and such. You never keep your goals. So why make any? But most of the time, the problem isn't with the goals themselves, is that you don't track them. You don't keep yourself accountable. And tracking is what keeps you accountable to your goals. So get your journal and make a plan on how to fulfill each of these things. If I just put meet John Maxwell and I don't go on Google and look for where John Maxwell is going to be, and how I can, go to meet him, then it's not going to happen. I can't just throw it up on the board and just hope that it'll happen. I have to now take some steps to make it happen. And so from now until January 1, I'm going to take these goals that I've made, and I'm going to go through my journal, and I'm going to write out a plan for how to accomplish these in different steps. So, if you found that this was helpful for you, please let me know down in the comments. If you find it wasn't helpful, let me know how you think I can improve it. And I hope that you have a blessed and prosperous 2025 and that you accomplish all the goals that you set out to do. So until next time, this is the Next Dr. Drew channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Happy New Year.